Hello from the dung heap, everybody. These are my friends. A lot of
Hi,
them.
friends.
There he is. Hi, sweetie.
Hello. Good morning, everybody.
And we're live. Hello. SPTV. Hello. Hi, everybody. Hello, hello. So here we are, Sunday, Fun Day Sunday. Hi, everybody. So yes, I thought what we could do is it's a little bit of a throwback that I'd like to do again is to explore some of these, what I like to call culty concepts. And the last few that we did were on, falling into things like a con or a grift, things like that. So today I want to talk about groupthink. And it's a subject that I have visited many times myself to learn about and to avoid and to delve into because I want to know what things that I fell into in the cult and even after, even when I got out of the cult. So I thought, why don't we explore this? I've got some things to read to you and some examples I'd like to show you and get your input as always. So I just want to say a few hellos. If you're watching on the replay, please say hello in the comments. I read every comment. I love to James Steele is back. Hey, James, good to see you. This is awesome. Let me scroll up and see who's here. Julia. Hey there, friend. Glad you're here. Good morning, poet. Hello. We've got fabulous mods. We got Northern Girl, Stay Spiria, of course. Giorgio is in the back. Why I almost called him Jerry. Oh, I know why. Never mind. Oh boy. Jojo, good to see you. He's laughing at me in the back. Hey, Joel. Howdy. Good to see you. There he is. There's James. Woohoo. Finally catching up with the Cubs and Mama Bear. Yes. Here you are. Awesome. Hey, Asen. Good to see you, honey. All right. Scrolling down. We got Heat. Yes. We got Heat My Shorts. Glad you're here. We got a tribe called Duff. Hello, hello. George. How many Giorgios are there? My God. Hey, Sherry. Hey there. Good to see you. Oh, God, George. Too funny. Okay. So, yes, here we are. I guess I'll just get into this. I did read a lot of these articles, but what I'm going to just show you is the overview of what I found, of course, with AI and Google and all that. But I will put some of these articles in the links in the description. I forgot to do that. But, this is a very good point, Heat. Did you know that if you have your chat set to top chat, right, which is the default, right, instead of live chat, you'll miss comments. I just recently learned this. I change it to live chat right, so you get all the comments, all the chat. That's awesome. I know I forget to do that sometimes. Let's start with a little Xenu Marlene, guys. Okay. Hey, David. Good to see you. Okay, let's pop this up. Let's talk about groupthink and what it is and some examples and how to deal with it, how to avoid it, how to break out of it. And also, I want to get your comments and questions and all that, all the things. Okay. So let's pop this up. Okay. So I'm going to go through some definitions and such. Okay. Groupthink, a psychological phenomenon, describes how a group prioritizes harmony and consensus over critical analysis, leading to flawed decision making. Members may suppress dissenting views, ignore outside information, and take irrational actions. The desire for conformity and group unity can override independent thinking. So that's pretty self-explanatory. Key aspects of groupthink: desire for consensus. Group members strive to maintain agreement, sometimes even at the expense of objective evaluation. Suppression of dissent. Dissenting opinions are often silenced or downplayed to avoid disrupting the group's harmony. Ignorance of alternatives. The group may fail to explore or consider alternative perspectives. Rationalism. Group members may come up with justifications for their decisions to maintain the illusion of consensus. This is interesting. Mind guards. Some members may act as protectors of the group. Interesting. Shielding it from information that might challenge the prevailing viewpoint. Consequences of groupthink. Poor decision making. Flawed decisions are often made due to a lack of critical thinking and consideration of alternatives. Reduced efficiency. Groupthink can hinder the ability of a group to effectively solve problems. Increased risks. Decisions made under groupthink can be more prone to error and have negative consequences. Okay. Strategies to mitigate groupthink. Encourage dissent. Promote open discussion and debate even when it's uncomfortable. Beware of the phenomenon. Recognize the signs of groupthink and its potential consequences. Seek diverse perspectives. Invite external experts and different viewpoints to broaden the group's thinking. Assign a, quote, devil's advocate. Have someone specifically focus on challenging the group's assumptions and decisions. Okay, and I'm going to stop there for a minute and then we'll go on. So, yeah, I think this is a really good thing to explore. Again, I know we've talked about it in the past, but one example from my own life that I like to use is when I was forming the board of directors for the nonprofit that I founded. I purposely asked people of different walks of life, different ethnicities, different backgrounds, even different political affiliations to be on the board, because I really wanted to have all different types of people, and we don't always agree. And I can think of two in particular, well, three actually, over the years, because we've been going for almost 60 years now. And we haven't had a lot of turnover, but we've had a few people come and go. And I like having people that challenge me, that challenge us, and that don't always see eye to eye because they see things that I don't see. Now, it's good to have, well, what they call disruptors as far as seeing other points of view, but you don't want assholes. So, it's been kind of my job to kind of keep everybody, happy and all that, but at the same time, welcoming dissenting opinions and welcoming people playing the devil's advocate. Like, what about this? What about that? We've had to adjust some things because we have a big Facebook group that is attached to the nonprofit. And we've had people post things that are like, well, do we have even time to vet this kind of stuff? So we've had to actually we've had to make some adjustments and say, okay, we're not going to allow, say, GoFundMes. We're not going to allow GoFundMes on the group because we can't possibly vet them all, because, sometimes GoFundMes don't turn out to not work out good for the actual person that's supposed to be for. So things like that. So I think that it's a good thing, instead of everybody always agreeing and always nodding their head and always just going with the flow, which can be comfortable, but not always constructive and not good for the group. So Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there were a lot of examples, in the articles that I was reading, and corporate, settings were definitely one of them. There's a lot of groupthink, and funny, when you look up the word disruptor, there's a lot of examples from companies and corporate life, and, Silicon Valley came up quite a few times. So, yeah, don't miss it. I know, I hear you. Definitely. Tony, get control of this chat. Yeah, that's great. Love it. Okay, so a couple of things I want to talk about just to illustrate what we're saying is I was recalling Duncan and I read this book together. You know, I hate to read, but he actually read it out loud to me, and I would read some out loud to him. It is called The Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. I thought it was a really, really good book, very thought provoking. And while I was preparing this, I was thinking about a chapter in the book. Let me pop this up. It's just a little summary of it. Okay, the chapter is called The Ethnic Theory of Plane Crashes. It explores how cultural factors, particularly cultural politeness and power distance, can influence decision making and communication within flight crews, leading to potential safety issues. The book examines several plane crash incidents, highlighting cases where miscommunication, often rooted in cultural norms, contributed to the accidents. Key concepts and examples: cultural politeness and communication. Gladwell argues that in cultures with a high, quote, power distance index, where subordinates are more differential to superiors, pilots or first officers might be hesitant to directly challenge the captain, even when there's a potential error. This can lead to miscommunications or a failure to escalate critical issues, as seen in Ivanka 52 incident. This case illustrates how a seemingly minor misinterpretation of instructions, coupled with the pilot's reluctance to directly challenge the captain, ultimately led to a catastrophic crash. The first officer, says his name, initially stated that they guessed they had enough fuel, but later they found to be dangerously low. Ooh, that's not good. And there was Korean Air Flight 801. This incident, where a plane crashed on approach to Guam, was analyzed by Gladwell to demonstrate how even experienced pilots can make mistakes that have severe consequences, especially when combined with other factors like poor communication and decision making. Human factors and the role of co-pilots. Gladwell emphasizes the crucial role of co-pilots in flight safety and how their willingness to directly challenge the captain, even when the captain is experienced, can make a significant difference in preventing accidents. Okay, let me stop 1 second. Okay, training and programs. Gladwell also notes that in response to these insights, aviation has implemented programs to improve communication and collaboration within flight crews, promoting more assertive and direct communication styles. In essence, the chapter explores how cultural norms can subtly shape communication and decision making in the cockpit, potentially leading to dangerous situations, and how aviation is adapting to address these challenges. Okay, and I want to go back to one part. It said, this phrase, particularly cultural politeness and power distance, can influence decision making and communication within flight crews. So, yeah, if you're trying to be super polite and dance around the subject, it could be catastrophic if it's something life or death, like aviation. And speaking of aviation, I also saw, and I actually went on YouTube and was looking at some shorts and different things about the subject. A lot of examples came up, but one that I kept seeing over and over, speaking of aviation, was the Challenger. And it's funny that it's called the Challenger because no one challenged the flight, the Challenger. It's pretty well known now that several of the engineers knew that there were faulty parts, forgot exactly what they were. That wasn't the tiles thing. It was something that they knew, and the temperature thing and all that, they didn't say anything. And what happened? People died. And it was a terrible thing. I remember it's one of those things we were talking yesterday about things that happen, like tragedies, national tragedies, or things that happen in the world that we remember, like John Lennon and different things, JFK, which I was too young for that, or actually I wasn't even alive then. But the Challenger, I remember I was a freshman in high school. I was in the cafeteria, and when we heard about it, and then I just saw when I got home, over and over and over on TV. It was just heartbreaking, just totally heartbreaking. But yeah, it could have been avoided. A lot of accidents can be avoided. So those are extreme examples. But I think of it sitting in Door of Hope and hearing Marlene. Now I look back and I was like, what the hell? What was she thinking? I mean, she would come up with this crazy idea, and she would go up on the mountain and pray, and God would speak to her, and she'd come down and she'd be like, okay, we've got to stockpile food because the Jews are coming from New York, and we have to get on our faces and pray and fast before God, and pray that our souls will be ready to receive this pilgrimage of all these Jews from New York are going to be coming up and looking for bagels or something. I don't know. Just crazy the things that she thought of, and I was just like, this is just so weird. Like, what are you talking about? But I didn't say anything. I was just like, okay, yeah. And then Duncan and I would kind of go home and be like, one good thing I have to be very thankful for is that Duncan and I always had open communication. We talked about this before, how a lot of cults, even Scientology and things, where even married couples have to kind of censor themselves so they don't get tattled on to the cult leader. Duncan and I were never like that. Like, I knew I could trust him. He knew he could trust me, and we were able to talk. And I think that's one of the big reasons we were able to escape, because we could kind of bounce things off each other and say, what do you think about that? And he'd be like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, yeah, me too. And that was just such a good thing, to be able to be ourselves with each other. And that was like a huge gift, that we had. The other thing that I noticed in the cult with the whole groupthink thing was having not only a common goal or aspiration, like an enlightened state, a certain all cults say, oh, we have the truth, some some gem of like a enlightened philosophy that only this group has, right? Only we have the truth. And if everybody has the truth, nobody has the truth, right? But not only that, but developing a common enemy. If you can silo people from other groups and be like, oh, those, you other people, right? You other them, and you just don't listen to anything they have to say. It insulates you and isolates you, and that gives way to more of that groupthink, where you kind of hunker down with a certain group of people. And oftentimes they're very much like you, right? Not a lot of different types of ways of thinking. And yep, divide and conquer, right? Stay spirit. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. One sec. Let's do a proper Xenu Marlene. I'm going to put up my little media thing. There it is. Okay. All right. Let's see. Now, something that I do, like, I don't really consider, this whole group to have fallen into groupthink, but I think there's definitely potential for that to happen. And whenever I feel a little bit like constrained or overwhelmed or just peopled out or YouTubed out or just yeah, just a little saturated, what I do, and a lot of you know this because you've been with me for a while, I tend to just take a break. And sometimes it's a day, sometimes it's 2, 3, 4, 5 days. I think, yeah, I probably have been gone for a week at times and maybe even 2. But one thing I do, and I was talking to my husband about this because he was saying, actually, I wrote it down. I thought the phrase was really how he comes out with things. Yeah, he said, I get drained of people energy and I need to drown out the chorus and find a quiet place. This is how he talks. I'm smarter just by being with him. Yeah, so he says he gets drained of people energy. I am more of a people person, so sometimes I get energy from other people, but I also get really burned out too. So he says he gets drained of people energy. He needs to drown out the chorus, kind of find a quiet space to center himself. And I do that too. And even just immersing myself in real life, right? Um, just cooking and cleaning and taking care of the dogs and going to visit my kids and doing my volunteer work with a nonprofit and the fire victims and all the things. It really helps me to ground myself and to be involved in getting my hands dirty, which I like to do. I like to work with my hands. I like to crochet. I like to create things. So just having a very healthy balance where I know that there was God, I can never remember her name, the one that wrote, she's a linguist and kind of in the cult space. And she talks about joining, like, not every cult is because it comes from culture, right? Is necessarily destructive. So join many different cults, right? I was like, join a crochet cult and this cult and that cult. And it's funny to say, but it's if you're not getting so narrowed down into one groupthink, then it's much more healthy to join a bunch of different groups, to have different interests, and to broaden and expand yourself, right? In ways that are healthy, and you learn and you grow, and you're not so confined to one school of thought, you know? So need time away from people. Yeah, I can't wait to read all your comments. So I see some great comments coming in. Awesome. Oh yes, Facebook group. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for all those links you're putting up. So is that pretty much what I had to say? I think so. I said seek people who are different. Yeah, I just wrote a bunch of different things down. Um, Let me pull up some of your questions, because that's my favorite part. I, I don't know what we're talking about, but it changes as often as people change their underpants. Okay. Oh, is it Giorgio? Let's pick on George today. He needs a Sunday roast. Right, George? I absolutely agree with that. Oh, boy. Well, thank you, Julia, but we're supposed to disagree. No, just kidding. Thank you. Oh, here we go. George Massey, not one person needed to know about your knickers. The subject comes far too often. Well, we're talking about breaking out of groupthink, so that's how he wants to think. I don't know. Asing, very good, very good point. We often see groupthink for the sake of harmony, often in families. And when someone veers off from that, they are often given the title the black sheep. Yep, 100%. Yeah, I think I was the black sheep in my adopted family. One of them. I think there was more than one, but I was definitely one of them. Julia, I don't always go with the Flow, diversity is a beautiful thing. Yes. Yep. Tony Hoban, me either. My last 10 years of corporate was a nightmare. I don't realize how bad it was until I left. Yep. I hear ya. Yeah, just being in management, and retail was oh my god. Yeah, there was a lot of, like, gaslighting that went on, and I hate to use that word because it's overused so much, but there really was. And excuse me, I one of the reasons why I ended up leaving is because, well, not only I had tons of responsibility on me more and more and more, it was impossible to cover all of these departments where they kept downsizing and giving the management even more and more responsibility because they would get rid of assistant managers and other support people and consolidate everything. It was just insane, and they would act like they were doing you a favor, and it was like whatever raise I got was just used up by overtime or that I really didn't get paid for, or just all of this responsibility that was just not worth it. And then you would have to pay for benefits, like health insurance was so expensive with them. It was just insane. It was absolutely insane. But they would totally gaslight you, and they'd be like, this is great, this is great. And we're like, we'd have to do these exercises. Like, I'm sure a lot of you that were in corporate situations, you go and you do these, like, what do they call icebreakers, and you have to do the like shaking, all this weird stuff, and they get you to, like, I don't know, just do crazy things like buck like a chicken shit. I hate things like that. Like, I hate going to those MLM parties now because they always do these little games, and I'm like, ugh, like, I don't know. I don't like that. I don't like when people just make you do stuff that just make you look silly. Because I've done enough of that. Being a Pentecostal back in the day, we did a lot of things that made us look silly. That's for sure. It's too funny. Sharona, I got an appraisal one time that said under the needs work section that said questions management decisions. I looked up at my boss dead in the eye and said, that's a bad thing? Yeah, right. Exactly. Yep, it's not a bad thing. Oh, Mr. James. My pet snake just lays around and won't move. I think he's suffering from a reptile dysfunction. That's great. He said, yeah, my face don't agree with cultural politeness. It's without filter, right? I agree there. Joe McCoy, the corporate bean counters hated me. They said to me, just go along with it. You will be better off. I told them to pound sand. They were not happy. They spent years trying to get me fired. Yeah, well, I think it's good that you're a disruptor. That's what's called a disruptor. And it's a healthy thing. He said, the shying away from challenging people who are in power leans into authoritarianism. Yep, authoritarianism. Exactly. Don't question, don't criticize, obey. We see that in almost all kinds of group settings. 100%. Hey, One True Morals, Differently Normal. Just popping in to say a quick hello, working on an event. Catch the replay. See you later. Thanks for popping in. Good to see you. I spent 10 minutes earlier looking for my glasses. I was looking through them already. I feel that. I feel the pain. Yep. You were looking for your glasses and they were on your head. Yep. Well, that happens a lot to me. That's for sure. Hey, David, agents of division were brought into the Scientology protest community. I'm not naming names, but Adam Ant was not one of them. Agents of division were brought into the Scientology protest community. Okay, not sure. I mean, yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying, that people, OSA, whoever can hire people to be agents of division. Yeah. Yeah, I totally get that. That's not really what I'm talking about because people can purposely try to divide and conquer and give people a hard time that are doing good. Um, there's absolutely nothing wrong with having unity. I think that's a good thing. But what I'm talking about is when there's potential danger of overriding your own critical thinking. So I'm not talking about like being a disruptor in the way that you're a destructive disruptor, where you're going in and purposely trying to cause division, trying to cause trouble, just being a critic for critic's sake, being a troll or a jerk, just being a jerk. There's a way to do it in a constructive manner. If you see something, like you see something, say something, like the Challenger, right? No one challenged the Challenger. People that I don't know who would be the engineers knew, and they still went ahead with it. So that's the kind of thing I'm talking about, not just causing trouble. And I think it has a lot to do with motive too, right? When you've got somebody that is well-meaning and they want to help, and they say something like, "Hey guys, do you think," instead of being like, "We need to do it this way," and just be an asshole about it, just say, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And if everybody looks at you sideways and like you're upsetting the apple cart, that's when that's a bad thing, right? But I think shutting out people that are just caught purposely causing trouble, just trying to stir up shit for no reason. Yeah, there's definitely a difference, and there's absolutely a balance. He's amazing. Duncan is special. Yeah, he is. He is. Another thing about, back to that subject of being a disruptor, being a, would you say, agent of division, um, is if you have an investment, like if you're invested in a community, if you're invested in a group of people, if you're invested in a cause, right? And you're a team player, you're an equal person in that group, right? I think that there's something to be said for, okay, everybody has a voice here. When somebody rises up and tries to start their own little mini cult within a group, or just cause all kinds of trouble, just start to tear down the entire purpose for you being there. I think that's the difference, if that makes sense. I'm trying to explain it in a way that hopefully you get what I'm saying. There's always, like, extremes are bad, right? So there's always like a extreme that would be unhealthy to do. So that's what I mean. Okay, Sharona. I definitely need time away from people, usually with music playing in my ear. I love to be in the company of others most of the time. Then I need to be alone to regain my energy. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. Are you the one that sent us that Pink song? I was listening to Pink this morning. I love her. Yeah. It was actually a good thing to just listen to the music instead of people droning on, which is usually what I do in the background. Hey, Stasia, good to see you. I'm such a nonconformist. I rejected all the fads and do my own thing. I question everything, and my curiosity sometimes gets the better of me. That's not a bad thing. I think that's great. That's great. And I would venture to say you probably never joined a cult, and that's a good thing too. And I'm glad you're here. I really am. What? A male snake charmer married a female undertaker. Their bath towel read "Hiss and Hers." Do you make these up or do you get them from somewhere? I love myself. I love me a pun. Very punny. Very punny. Joel McCoy, being raised by a controlling father, I always rebelled against conforming. Being the rebel has always been my MO. Yeah, modus operandus. I may have had an easier time if I just would, but no. No, don't do that. That's not a bad thing. Oh, here we go. I got to break you guys up. Stay Sparrow, you're not the boss of me. Oh, wait. Of course you are. Yes, she is. Definitely. Sharona, I can shut my mouth, but my face says, yep. I hear ya. This is good, Julia. I'm kind because someone may be worse off than you. I've seen the awful people who have tried to divide the ex-Scientology community. Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. And right, that's another thing that I think about a lot is when to speak up and when to not say anything, when to be quiet, to be a support person, and when to come out and speak your truth. And in the past week or so, I've been around. I mean, I've been doing, like I said, a lot of in real life things, but I've also been in the chats and just supporting the other creators and doing what I can, behind the scenes to encourage people. I like to kind of diversify myself as far as like what I like to talk about. Like today I'm talking about, like I like to call it culty concepts, culty conversations. And I do exposés and I'm still going to do that. I'm going to definitely pick and choose what I talk about, but working on a project probably be a few weeks, but I am still going to do that as I see fit. But I also want to be a support person, and even in the background if I can, wherever I can help. I've helped with things like fundraisers and stuff like that. I like to do that. I like to be a helper. I don't always need to be behind the microphone, behind the camera, on a platform. I don't feel super comfortable doing it. Believe it or not, as I'm coming up on 2 years of having my channel, but every time I come out, I'm nervous. And I'm like, what am I going to say? I'm going to say a lot of ums and and so thank you for putting up with me, all of you that have been here for a while, and even the new people. I appreciate you all being here. And hey, I'm learning. We're all learning together, right? Hey, Clearwater Chad. Speaking of being around for a while, he was one of my very first friends in this space. Oh, good to see you. David, I've left chats that were endorsing practices that are celebrated by many, but I find abusive. And that's good. And that's what? Yeah. She said jerk. I hope it doesn't mean something worse in the UK. It probably does. I don't know. Or actually, you're in Germany. Okay. I don't know. Some things I say are terrible in other countries, and probably vice versa, because we know there's a certain word that my British friends throw around, which they've been a very bad influence on me. Hey, Jenna from Cali. The other Jenna's from Cali too. Thank you. I'm so glad you're here. Glad you caught alive. Hey, Barbie. Good to see you, friend. Glad you're here. Did you pop something up, George? What did I miss? Oh, okay. He's like, what are you talking about? Sharona, I give creators supportive comments in their chats because I know behind the scenes and even in public, they catch a lot of grief. I worry it can come off as love bombing, but I'd rather be nice. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think so. I mean, I do. I like to say it in emojis, like, and it's so hard because sometimes you come into a chat and everybody's saying hi to you, and I want to say hi to every individual person. So, a lot of times I'm multitasking too. So if you ever say hi to me in a chat and I don't answer, it's not because I'm slighting you. It's just because I probably saw a butterfly or a squirrel or something, and I'm not looking at the chat anymore. Yeah, I hear you. There are some hate-filled chats. I get you. I get you. Well, I went to a city council meeting. My wife told me as I walked out of the house, "Don't make anyone cry." If only she would use her power for good. Joel, you're too funny. You don't make anyone cry. Seja, conformity is not right. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Terry. Thank you so much. Glad you're here. Even if you do disagree with me, I do pop up comments. Like sometimes it's so funny because the mods will delete something and I'll see it and I'm like, you know what? I'm feeling spicy. Let's pop it up and deal with this. And I don't mind disagreements and dissent if they're respectful, because I will engage in, some type of debate or um going back and forth in a healthy way. But if somebody's just like, calling me names and just being really rude or being rude in my chat, my block list has gotten pretty long because of that, unfortunately, because people just come in and just want to be rude and nasty. If it's constructive criticism, I'll take it. I've definitely taken a lot of it in the last couple of years. This is true. Like the line in the song, you have to stand for something or you'll fall for anything. That's one of my favorite quotes. Yeah. Mhm. Northern Girl, chats go so fast. If your eyeballs aren't glued to it, you'll miss stuff. Ask me how I know. Yep. Yeah, you're a mod for Natalie, and her chat goes really fast. Absolutely. I don't know how. That's good that she has so many mods, I'm sure. Yeah, Julia, you do an excellent job as a mod. Mods are here to keep us safe. It goes for the same. Yeah, another thing. I mean, I have a wrench on a bigger channel, but I'm a terrible mod. I don't even really consider myself a mod. Um, I suck at it, but I really appreciate my mods, and I have a huge amount of respect and appreciation for all the mods in this space. It's amazing. You are amazing. Just going through, scrolling. Okay. Yeah, so I hope you got something out of this. It was really fascinating for me because I like to, again, like I said, I like to go back and back to the beginning, right? To the roots and to the basics. And this whole culty thing, it's something that I think I'll be probably, dealing and deconstructing the rest of my life, because it's something that was just so ingrained in me. And dealing with people be peopling, right? I guess you always have to kind of watch out for some things that can be pitfalls, and groupthink has been one of them for me. Oh, you're gonna make me cry, Nancy Alley. I love you. Appreciate you, Marilyn, for bringing truth. Thank you. I'm so glad you're here. You do so much for this community. Nancy, I hope you saw that I shared your latest diamond painting that you sent me. I think it was dental floss. The little. I love those little dragons that you do. I showed that yesterday. If you didn't see it. Hey Barbie. Oh, yep. Go back on replay. Yeah, I put together just a little presentation about groupthink. It was mostly from Google, but I gave some examples and stuff. And if y'all haven't read Malcolm Gladwell's book, Outliers, it's a really good book. I really got a lot out of it. And I talked about one of the chapters about aviation because I thought it was a really good example of talking about groupthink. And they were talking about cultural politeness, which I think is really interesting. And I mean, I like to be nice. I like to be polite, but there's times, you guys know, that my biscuits get burning and Mama Bear comes out, the claws come out. But even then, I try to be constructive about it. I don't like to just tear people down. I tell you though, I fall into it sometimes because I get so pissed. And I'll do things that are out of character for me, something that, like, maybe it isn't out of character, but it's just something I don't give into a lot because I don't like to turn into, like, a nasty vindictive troll. But sometimes people bring the worst out of me, and I don't like the person I become when I give in to frustration and anger and even, a little bit of hate. I'll be honest. It's been it's been a struggle for me, but I know mostly, we all have good and bad in everyone, right? It's good and bad in everyone. Learn to live, learn to give each other what we need to survive. Together alive. Sorry, I think in song. That's just the way I do. That's the way I roll. Jojo, a comment can be meant in a good way and sometimes read in a negative way. So I try and be very clear in the meaning. That is a very good point. Yep. I like that. Absolutely. That's a good point because like sometimes I try to get my point across with as few words as possible because I hate to be too wordy, but there's something to be said for clarifying things and yeah, giving examples and talking. And here I am, I'm already 45 minutes in, so I've talked a lot already. And you try to just clarify what you're saying so people don't misinterpret your words. You think in lyrics, yeah. A lot of my titles are from song lyrics. Right? Like on the thumbnail, I put "Who am I to disagree?" And it's funny because my boys they perform the song "Sweet Dreams Are Made of These," the Eurythmics, and so I was like, "Who am I to disagree?" Yeah, I was dancing last night to that with she is 77 or 8. This lady that I used to work with back when I worked with children with head injuries and disabilities. And she drove the bus for them to go to and from school because they had to have adapted, well, they called it a handicap van back then. And she had like a lift and everything. And I just love her. She was following my boys and I didn't realize that she was a fan, but she showed up at one of the gigs, but she had been watching them on Facebook and stuff. And, of course she's been retired for a long time, but now she's like at almost every single one of their gigs. I just love her. So we were dancing to Sweet Dreams last night and she's a good dancer. I mean, oh my God, for almost pushing 80, she was dancing circles around everybody last night. It was great. It was awesome. So yeah, so who am I to disagree? Sharota, yes, sometimes the comment pops up further removed from what was being talked about and it could be misinterpreted. I try to choose a kinder meaning. Yeah, that's a good point because sometimes you go on to a different subject and comments popped up that has something to do with something else. And yeah, I get it. Mhm. Northern Girl, I once made a comment in Aaron's chat that he read. I felt it needed clarification, so I emailed him just in case he took it the wrong way. I don't think he did, but things get lost in short comments. Yeah. No, he's I could say he's hard to really get to insult because he if you see some of the stuff that's said about him and even whole channels, I'm sure he doesn't take offense. He doesn't take offense easily like that. Yeah. Hey, Laura. Good to see you. Welcome. Glad you're here. Joel, I used to dance around the house. Thanks for the visual. The cats had a meeting and I was told to stop. Uh-huh. The only dancing I will do privately and awkwardly in my room to very aggressive music. I hear ya. That's so funny. Oh, evening entanglement. Is that what that's called? That was so cute. Let me look. Let me see if I can pull it up again. I think I still have it. Or just click, 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 click. I can find it. I think it was the first one I showed yesterday. Yep. There it is. And you just think of all of that is made up of these little tiny beads that they call them. And I love the shimmery aspect of some of them have this kind of glittery shimmer to them. I don't know. I love those. I love looking at them. So keep them coming. Get to work. Keep them coming. I just love them. George is sitting back. He's probably like, I'm falling asleep. Can we stop now? How was the boy show? It was great. It was actually outside on the pavilion, but they had these sides that were that you like close the it's like a what do you call it? Well, a pavilion, but it's closed in, but there's no like screens or anything. There's just these kind of shutters. So they had everything shuttered, but they had to keep there's like garage doors on either side, so they had to keep them wide open because they had kerosene. It was cold. It was like in the 40s or 50s last night, and it was kind of drizzly. But the boys played there with their whole band. Oh my god, it was loud, but it was good. And we were dancing. It was like a lot of space. But they're doing a wedding there today. Hopefully, it's going to be warmer. That they had 2 kerosene lanterns. And was it you, Julia? I was watching one of your videos. I think it was you that said that 5 people were unalived in a tent by because they had a kerosene heater and they had it all closed in and they got carbon monoxide poisoning. That was fresh in my mind last night because you could smell the kerosene and they had these 2 heaters in there. And I was telling the boys about that story and they're like, oh my God, they're like, okay. So when they packed up, they made sure that they turned the heat, the whatever, the managers of the place turned the heaters off because they had to close everything up. They're doing a wedding there today, so they got to leave all their equipment, instruments and everything all set up. So yeah, so worry wart here. I'm the disruptor. I'm always like, oh my God, you know, I heard about this. You got to make sure that you ventilate all this and blah, 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 blah. And if you get a headache, run, you know. So yeah, I was I'm really fun at parties. Oh, not. Annie Lennox. Yes, I love her. Love her voice so much. I do too. Amazing. Jason, I absolutely love that it's lots of work and detail comparable to embroidery, in my opinion. Lots to do and kind of meditate. Yes. Yeah. That's how it is with my like crocheting. I still have my blanket here I was working on. I really want to get it done so I can start doing more like smaller projects. And my son Austin is actually moving into a new home with his girlfriend, and I want to make like a little like throw for their couch and stuff. And yeah, I'm really excited. So it's like I don't know if they're gonna get engaged. I think they are, but this is sort of like I want to do like a housewarming kind of thing for them. So I want to get my projects done, work on things for other people. It was you. Oh, yeah, that was me. I feel bad for Crystal that she lost 8 people. Oh, that is so sad. Well, thank you for the warning. Because yeah, I was nervous. Oh, micro crochet. I use sewing thread. And yet, oh yeah, I used to love. I've actually probably the last couple of years I probably made 1 doily, but I love doilies. I love to work with the thread. It's so pretty. It's just the lace. It's just so pretty. See you later, Joel. Fun being with you today. Hope you all find the magic road to happiness. The way to happiness, right? Yeah. Okay, everyone. This was really fun. Thank you for being here. And looking from my outro. All right. Well, we'll talk to y'all later and have a great day. Happy Sunday. And if you celebrate, or I'm not sure if you celebrate Memorial Day, it's more of a sacred thing. But yeah, thinking of everyone who has lost loved ones, especially in wars. And yeah, have a good weekend and we will talk to y'all later. Bye. Zenu, Marlene, everybody partake. Cheers. This is good coffee. This is why, my hubby makes the coffee.